Welcome, welcome, welcome. Mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, gender. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, everyone. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. I was reading through my comments in my YouTube, and someone posted, same old gimmicks. And I was like, The funny thing about the law is that it needs no defense. The law needs no defense. When you walk outside, you're either walking outside in the daytime or the nighttime. Or you're walking outside in the evening, which means you are experiencing polarity. It starts in the morning and it moves through the day, bringing us to night. It goes through the stages. In TCM, the morning is most yang. You know, yin and yang is how the West would say it, but yin and yang is how it's said in the East. So the day is most yang. And as the day progresses, it becomes yin. So it moves from yang to yin and yin to yang every single time. A beautiful motion, which is polarity. Right? So that's one thing we experience. We plant and then we reap what we have planted. Every single time. Every single time. We rest and then we have activity. You see, even if you don't believe, as I've always said, it is not something to believe. It is observed. And when you observe how flawlessly the pattern unfolds on a daily basis, it does something to you if you're observant. What is very interesting is that as people, we are so caught up in doing and getting and achieving that we miss something. You see, if we observed how flawlessly, yes, itty bitty, yes, I know, sweetness, I know, itty bitty, I know. See, if we observed how flawlessly things moved, our curiosity would be aroused. Truly, it would. And you would ask, well, what makes it work? What makes it work? That's what you'd ask. Where does this perfection come from? Where does this consistency come from? That's what you would ask. Oh, sweet boy. Do you need some help? Do you need some help or are you okay? You all right? Okay. So you see, even though some may think or call it a gimmick, it's all right. Because every man awakens in their own time. Truly. We go through the seasons in such a circular fashion. Winter, spring, summer, fall. We go through the seasons, and each season has its own dictate. Summer dictates that we plant, well, that we should have planted, you know. Summer is hot, which implies movement. Because when it's hot, what do you want to do? Go to the lake, go to the beach, get a Slurpee, get a snow cone, get an ice cream. Why? Cause and effect. Because it is hot, we seek movement naturally. Right? This is what it is. When we experience spring, oh, it's a big stretch, a big yawn, isn't it? Oh, pardon me. You say the word yawn and people yawn. It's a trip, isn't it? Fall. Time to pick what you have planted. Listen, I have so many Saskatoon berries outside on the bushes. I'm slightly overwhelmed. So I've got to pick them. And, maybe I'll make some jam. Maybe that's what I'll do. Right? Look at where we are. But why would you make a jam? Because come winter, you can't make it because there won't be any berries come winter. Because winter dictates relaxation, hibernation, no movement. So all of these things that we take for granted, if we would truly observe them, take the time. They always say, oh, stop and smell the roses. Why? Because if you stopped and smelled the roses, you would ask, wow, why is it so fragrant? Why is it that even if I'm blindfolded and given an array of scents, I would still be able to identify this particular flower? Not a gimmick, my friend, but law. Look at the osprey. Oh, you don't know what an osprey is? Oh, wow. A most beautiful bird. It can take off just from the water because it dives. It's kind of like an eagle and a hawk rolled into one. A little smaller, I think. But it is absolutely an amazing diver. So are pelicans. Yeah, but Angela, that's just nature. Is it? Each thing has its own pattern. The eagle does what it does. The hawk does what it does. The osprey does what it does, even though they're all similar. They do different things that allows you to identify them, which tells you each thing has its own way, its own pattern, the principle of rhythm, just like you and I do, because we are governed. Not by force are we governed. Not at all. Not force, not compliance, nothing of the sort. When I find the right word for that, I'll tell you how we're governed. Because when we hear the word government, right? Some people go into a complete tailspin because they equate what the law does, what the principles do, with what man does. And if you look at the principles, they don't coerce you, they don't trick you, they don't have fancy talk, they don't have a campaign. But the principles are straight up what they are. Mentalism, the all is mind. What is the all? Ooh. The all. Someone also asked, where's the mind in time and space? Wherever you are. Remember, mind is not brain. Mind is the invisible thing that runs everything. Everything comes from that. So the mind is the awareness of one's self. So wherever you are aware. So the mind is everywhere all at once. It is everywhere all at once. Omnipresent, if you will. Right? So when you look around, pay attention. This is what I always stress to you. You begin to move in slow motion, you know, when you pay attention. Yes? It feels like you move in slow motion. When you take the time to observe what is going on around you. I'm not talking politics. I'm not talking religion. That's not what I mean by observe. I mean observe what's going on within you, and you will see what's going on the outside, and you will see that they match. And that's the micro level, because that's you. But then you expand from there, and you begin to see also on the macro level, the larger scale, that what's going on collectively inside people is what's happening on the outside. So you see, my beautiful friends, it saddens me a little that because we live in a capitalistic society, everything we do is geared towards paying bills, survival. That's what it comes down to. And so the part that saddens me is that some people have chosen to monetize the principles under the umbrella of law of attraction, manifestation. to make it sound so gimmicky, which taints the eye and the ear and the heart, makes it sticky so that people can't see their way through it. But if you slow down, you will see for yourself very clearly the principles at work. You'll see it. Everything moves through stages, including you and me. One day you could be a cynic, but then you're walking down the street and you have an aha moment. Kind of like, this is why I like Bible stories, because you can apply them if you know what to do. You see, Saul was the biggest persecutor. This is the story. Even if you want to talk about Odysseus, any kind of Greek mythology, they're all stories, but can you apply it? See, now, Saul was the biggest persecutor of Christians, allegedly. And he was on the road again. He was traveling to Damascus. And he was like, well, I'm going to give me some Christians. Hello. And as he is on the road, he's blinded. The question is, was he blinded as he was on the road, or was he always blind? Needless to say, he now was at the mercy of others. He was at the mercy of others to get him where he wanted to go, to do what it was he had set out to do. And now he was led to a destination. He was led to a destination. And as he got to his destination, he came to the realization of what he was doing. Because he realized his vulnerability. He said, what am I doing? He saw his blindness. We think about that phrase. He saw his blindness. And then he realized, wait a minute. So the very thing sometimes that we push so hard against, and we say, that's not true, that's a gimmick. It's all right. Because just like Saul, so too will the scales fall off your own eyes. And this happens to each and every one of us. The scales will fall off each and every one of our eyes, and then we will see that which is. None of us are exempt from it. You don't think I have scales on my eyes in whatever area of life? We all do. But we come to the awareness, and the scales fall off. Then you see. So if you're a staunch believer, or you're an atheist, or whatever you want to be, agnostic, I'm throwing out words because I don't even know what those words mean. Agnostic, I have no idea what that means. But it doesn't matter. What is most important is, when you hear a story, can you apply the theme of the story to your own life so that you can change? Or do you just hear the story and judge, thereby remaining in the blindness? You see, my beautiful friends, the principles are They just are. I didn't put them there. I didn't put them there. But because they work so flawlessly, I am intrigued to understand what did it. How, what, like, it's so intriguing that I am always aware, which is mentalism. You're always aware. Even when you're saying, well, I don't know, you are always aware. You can't not be aware. Are there levels to awareness? Yes. It's called learning. You learn something, you now become aware of that. So the more you learn, the more aware you become, which is the natural progression, right? So what are you aware of? Well, then, what you are aware of, well, then you will do. As within, so without. Why? Because everything moves. Nothing stands still. And it is constantly moving through polarity, which is a phase, a stage. Just like you learn one thing, now your mind is open. And you're doing what you've just learned, applying what you've just learned. You're moving through the stages of polarity. Because we're always becoming something. We're always becoming. That's what polarity is. You start off as one thing, which is what you declare yourself to be. I am. I felt like He-Man and She-Ra there for a minute. I have the power. You know what? That's what I felt like when I said that. That's what you start off as. And you begin to, the more you practice that thing, the more developed you become as it. Which takes you towards the end, which would be the fulfillment of that thing, so that you can do what? Do it again, and do it again some more. And as you begin to do things and it unfolds in this scale, this stage of polarity, it will show you its rhythm. It will show you its pattern. When I first started my job, it was slow, to say it nicely. Yes, it was slow. But something, it gradually increased. Now, why is gradual important? Gradual, this is why polarity is beautiful. Gradual gives you time to learn and to absorb the information so that you can do it and do it well. This is why things are gradual and go in stages. There's a seed, a sprout, right? A sapling, tree, blossom, fruit, to seed again. The stages are gradual so that you can, for lack of a better phrase, be eased into what you're doing. Or else we'd face great overwhelm. So in the stages of polarity, you begin to see something called mercy. Why? Because it's giving you time to learn, time to apply, so that you can grow and become strong to get to the next stage. So if you look at polarity, you'd begin to understand that you were never meant to be weak, because it gives you time to gain your strength. You understand? This is why the stages are so important. My workmate, she goes, "Oh, I'm so done being pregnant." She goes, "I am so ready for this baby." Stages. At first, when I first started, I didn't know she was pregnant. Pfft, you couldn't see anything. But over time, gradually the body expands to accommodate, giving her time, right? You ever notice when kids go through growth spurts real quick, they end up with a lot of stretch marks, right? Mm-hmm. It was fast and it was painful. But I've watched my child grow and he's just gradually growing, just like little Chicoletta, gradually growing. Because as you are gradually growing, there's something you're learning in that stage. Good, bad, or indifferent. So you see, even if we want to say that the principles are a gimmick, it's all right. It's all right. Because they're not a flash in the pan, darling. They will always be here. We came and found them, and we will leave, and they will still be here. And wherever we go, they will be there as well. So that's what's so beautiful about it. So here we are in these stages of polarity. And as we go through the stages, each stage, because of the principle of rhythm, can be identified. That's what makes it brilliant. It begins, when you see it, it begins to show you what you're looking at as it goes through the stage. So you can name each stage and you'll know where you're at. That's the principle of rhythm, the ebb and the flow. Ebb, flow, and compensation. That's rhythm. Rhythm always compensates. How far you go to the left is how far you come back. If you go 90 degrees, you have to come back 90 degrees. Why? Because as within, so without. 90 degrees within, 90 degrees on the outside. Rhythm will always compensate. Because it has to. It's the pattern. So that when you see where you're at, you can say, oh, I'm at that stage now. Why would you know you're at that stage? Because it has its own way of unfolding. Which leads us where? Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause.